ready to get started with our meeting. So I'll call our meeting to order. And first we need, of course, to adopt the agenda. A recommendation that the agenda and the supplementary agenda for the December 15th, 2025 regular meeting of council be accepted and passed. Did I get a mover? Councilor Hearn and Councilor Rankin, thank you. Any comments on that? All those in favor? Carried, thank you. We'll deal with disclosure of pecuniary interest. I have none to declare. Councilor McCabe?
I have none, Mayor.
Councilor Hearn?
I have to do.
Mute yourself.
I am. Oh, no. You're right.
Clear around 2A.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Councilor Rankin?
I have none.
Councilor Burke?
I have none.
All right, thank you. We'll move into a closed meeting session, and the recommendation to do that would be that the Council of the Corporation of Township of Wellington North go into a meeting at 6:31 p.m. that is closed to the public under subsection 239, number 2 of the Municipal Act 2001, specifically to deal with item E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. And item F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that, please? Councilor Burke and Councilor McCabe, thank you. All those in favor? That's carried. We're in closed.
Open now? Okay, thanks.
I'm trying to get there, Karen.
Okay,
Sorry.
because I've got a bunch of emails from people saying I can't get in the meeting.
We need to do that again.
The rising
No.
report, I think, is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
You ready to go? Okay. So the next recommendation is that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive the verbal report from Peter Hertz, Duncan Linton, LLP regarding OLT-25-000820 update, and that council approve the confidential direction to staff. Can I get a mover and a seconder for that, please? Councilor Rankin and Councilor Hearn, thank you. All those in favor? That's carried. Next recommendation is that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive the verbal legal advice regarding consent application B63-25 Arca Acres Limited, and that council approve the confidential direction to staff. Okay, a mover and a seconder, Councilor McCabe. Councilor Hearn, thank you. All those in favor? That's carried, thank you. And finally, from a closed session, we have a recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North approve the closed meeting minutes of the November 3rd, 2025 council meeting. Moved by Councilor Rankin, seconded by Councilor Hearn. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. That brings us to the regular start of our open session. And we'll start that off when our technology is ready with O Canada. Okay. Okay, thank you. Next, we're on to our county council update, and it looks like I'm on deck for that. And I did make some notes this morning of what I wanted to talk about, but I think I left them on the kitchen table at home. But I think I remember a bunch of them. I just wanted to briefly touch on the county budget process. We've gone through a preliminary budgeting in November. We will revisit it in January with some updated information and so on. But at the preliminary stage, it looks like it's over 3% increase, but under 4%. So that's kind of the range that it appears to be headed for. Some things that are driving increased cost are things like policing and some of the other issues as well, such as social services. And anyway, I just wanted to touch on that briefly. On sort of a good news, bad news type of scenario, the counties through the social services department in regard to the provincially and federally subsidized childcare program. Wellington North is well under the provincial goal in terms of what we should have in terms of the percentage of children that are able to access that in Wellington North. And so the county is working toward trying to close that gap. They have a short-term plan to assist with that in that the county-owned building on Foster Street, where children's early years and so on things are, there's some additional space that's not being currently used. So by moving some of the things around, they're able to repurpose that space and bring in a bunch of new childcare spaces in that location. Likely going to be able to, hopefully, be able to hit fall of 2026 for those to be available. But we will still be significantly underserved in terms of the childcare spaces. And so counties continuing to look for other opportunities to grow those childcare spaces in Wellington North. Maybe we can, there's some discussion, maybe we can work with the Catholic School Board in Arthur because they host some spaces there, whether there's more space available and other opportunities as well. So, Councillor McCabe.
Sorry, just while you're on that subject, Mayor, do they have numbers on what the need is in Wellington North?
Yes, I can't remember the exact numbers.
Okay.
At the goal province-wide, I believe, is about 37% of the children under age 0 to 3.
Wow.
And we are at about 15%. Or somewhere in that range. Again, I don't remember
Yeah.
the exact numbers, but
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
no, it's okay. It's just that we're definitely underserved,
Yeah, okay.
and there's movement to try to fix that.
Yeah, thank you.
And in fact, the county has set some money aside we're not the only underserved community, to help address some of these underserved communities. And so Wellington North in both Arthur and Mount Forest are top candidates.
Good, thank you.
Councillor Rankin.
Thank you. I was just wondering, not that I talked to anybody at First Baptist Church, but I was just wondering, because it had previously been a school, they do still have classrooms and so forth. I was just wondering if there's any possibility of making an arrangement with them for space.
Certainly, if they were interested in that, I would connect them with county staff and try to explore that opportunity. I know that one of the things we did talk to them about was the potential of maybe using the Mount Forest Community Center as a potential future location. But again, we don't know exactly where we're going with that. So if you know of opportunities where there might be space and willing partners, please pass that along and I will connect the appropriate people.
They did offer their spaces for when St. Mary's had the fire the other year. The school the younger children went over there, so the classrooms are utilized for that. So.
And if you have a contact, Councillor Rankin, please connect me and we'll make sure the appropriate people are talking.
Mayor?
Yep, go
I
ahead.
would maybe, through you, sorry, I'd maybe suggest even St. John's in Arthur, the old school, because I know there's classrooms that aren't being used and are empty. And I know we went through that about, I don't know how many years ago, trying to buy that, but I would think if you're getting a hold of the Catholic School Board, I would mention the old St. John's Arthur School.
part of the problem too is having an operator to run it as well.
Mhm.
So it's not just a space, but an operator as well. Whereas the county can do it in their own building, so it will be county staff that will staff that. And in the situation with the one we have in Arthur, the Y runs it
Yep.
at the Catholic school, so we would need a partner as well.
Right. Okay.
But the Y has been a great partner
Mhm.
in the Arthur location, and so yeah, hopefully we can connect all the dots and get this service developing further. I also wanted to just briefly mention, not directly related only to Wellington County, but I was at the Holstein Christmas parade on the weekend, and there was an MPP on present, and he was getting some grilling from some of the local politicians about the Blue Box transition program, and particularly how it affects downtown businesses and not-for-profits. So Wellington County is trying to develop its own program to try to address those things, but I think there will be significant lobby pressure on the province to try to change that as well. So that may be something that we need to continue to add our voice to. And yeah, I just wanted to also just a quick update with regard to 109. So the bridges there, everything's open for the winter with 2 lanes, and we'll start up in the spring again with continuing that project. One bridge is complete, one's partly complete, and then there's 2 more to go. So it's hasn't been the most convenient, but it has worked reasonably well, I thought. Councillor McCabe.
So things seem to be on schedule then.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good to hear.
If any other questions, I'd be happy to try to address them. If not, we'll move on to presentations. So we have, do we have with us Helen? Yeah, I see Helen's name on the screen. To give us a update on the Senior Center for Excellence program. Can you hear me, Helen?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I had sent in a presentation to council, and I hope that everyone had a chance to review that presentation. I did have someone scheduled, I had a couple people scheduled to come in and participate with me, but there does seem to be a lot of illness going on around at the moment. So you just have to put up with me this time.
We're always happy to see you, Helen.
So I just did want to go over some of the activities that we've been involved in Wellington North. Just a little bit of why I'm here. So I'm here to request the continued support of Wellington North Council in the amount of $10,000. And as you are aware, we're working hard to keep seniors active, connected, and engaged in their community. And we think we've been pretty busy the past year, and we've had a lot of events happening in Wellington North. So we wanted to share those with you. So first, people might say to themselves, where's Kay Ayers? Well, Kay Ayers is someone that I work very closely with, and we put on monthly workshops at the Mount Forest Legion. And we do lots of different activities, and we have some serious ones where we have Ask the Pharmacist or Community Paramedicine, passing on important information, important health information. But then we have things like in January, we're having a Newfoundland shed party. And Kay is very excited about all of the things that she's developed for that event. And Kay is actually at the 100 Women Who Care Rural Wellington meeting tonight because she's on the executive. And it's maybe not a very well-known fact that the 100 Women Who Care Rural Wellington came about as a result of a program at the Senior Center for Excellence for International Women's Day. So that it's been over 6 years now, and the group of women, the 100 Women Who Care, have donated over $250,000 to different charities in rural Wellington. So that's where Kay is tonight. The next slide, please. The other set of workshops we do are called wisdom workshops. And we started this from a grant from the Ontario government. And I work with 4 older adults from North Wellington. And Janice Benson is one of them. And Janice came up with the name the Brainy Bunch for the 4 older adults. And we also do a variety of different topics at the library every other month. We've had everything from how to have a happy retirement to, in November, we hosted a healthy hibernation. And we learned a lot about the Scandinavian ways of embracing winter and thriving in winter versus surviving winter. And it was very well attended and it was a lot of fun. So next slide, please. So we also put out the Heart and Soul of Wellington newsletter, and I have some stats regarding the newsletters. So we mail out about 150 copies to Canada Post. We send out over 800 electronic copies of the newsletter. That's to older adults themselves, as well as community partners and organizations. And we distribute about another 150 at events. And I think it was here when Sharon Rogers came, she said that receiving the Heart and Soul in the mail is like receiving a letter from the friend. And I really think people tell me that they look forward to receiving the newsletter, and it's got lots of health information, but also recipes and stories from seniors themselves. So next slide, please. So our virtual program is still going really strong, and we offer that twice a week. We have a variety of topics. We have a monthly cooking program, healthy cooking program, which is hosted by the Mount Forest Family Health Team dietitian. And every month there are different topics, and we have regularly on average, we have about 22 people who attend each session. Of course, some are more well attended than others, but the average is 22. So next slide, please. And recently, we started Tai Chi classes in partnership with NELDA. And we did it both in Arthur and in Mount Forest. And Mount Forest just embraced Tai Chi, and we had to have a second class start because we had so many participants that there wasn't enough space for people to do the routine correctly. But we're really excited about this new partnership with NELDA. And we've started doing a lot more of programs where we offer them, but in partnership. So the partnership is we put our name behind it and we help to promote it. And the actual instructor takes care of the gathering of the fees and the rental of the location. So next slide. So we received a seniors community grant, just like Wellington North, and ours was titled Making Every Day Count. And so there were different components which I highlighted in the slides. So next slide, please. So we had bus trips, and these ones here, we went to Anna May's and to the Stratford Museum, and I really didn't know how many people would be interested in the Justin Bieber exhibit, but honestly, it was one of the most popular. So, and then we had a murder mystery at the Wellington Museum and Archives. And for the great majority of our trips, we did a lot of traveling between the communities. So we offered it to all the community, like all of the municipalities. And we had a really great response. Next slide, please. We had dining programs so we offered dining programs in places that we hadn't originally offered them. So in Mount Forest, we don't traditionally offer dining programs because there's so many opportunities for people to go out and eat in Mount Forest. But we did have a really good turnout at the sports complex. And we also had in Drayton, because we don't do a dining program in Drayton either. We had Neil Atchison come and he talked about the power of laughter. And we had a really great attendance there. And we definitely drew in some people from Wellington North. And yeah, so we had over 140 people attend that event. So next slide, please. One of the things that we have really done a lot of work on is making people aware of ageism and how acceptable it is to make assumptions about older people. The two groups of people who experience ageism the most are older adults and youth. So but what we put together was a social media campaign around debunking the myths of growing older. And we really had a lot of great response from this campaign. And we just continue to promote older adults as contributing members of society. And as Kay says, they pay their taxes and they don't end up in jail. So we want to promote that. And so we had a social media campaign that outlined some of the myths of growing older, and then the people who showcase that that's absolutely not true. So next slide, please. So we had our Seniors Wellness and Connection Fair, and this is what was our third annual, and we had it at the Sportsplex, and it was really well attended. And I think one of the things that I liked the most was that we were able to use the Raw Carrot as our caterer. So we supported a social enterprise while allowing the older adults to have some really a tasty complimentary lunch. And we had a large number of vendors. And each year we try to have different people come because, well, variety is the spice of life. And we don't want to have only chronic diseases it's important to have information about different chronic diseases that you might be dealing with as you grow older, but it's just as important to have fun booths that showcase just different opportunities to get out and try different things. And we had consumer protection from the government branch, and they had some really great handouts. So it was a little bit of safety, a little bit of chronic disease information, and then also a whole lot of fun. So we were really happy with how that turned out. Next slide, please. And we just finished up our seniors Christmas stocking project. So I think this is probably like the 5th or 6th year that we've done this, and it's grown quite a bit. And we were able to complete 85 stockings for seniors who are living alone or seniors who have experienced a loss. These seniors are referred by community partners. And yeah, so we've got them all out with the exception of there's 12 left in my office, but they're going out tomorrow. So it's a really amazing program. And I think it showcases the generosity of our area, because we had more people who wanted to sponsor a stocking than we had people to fill. So we had about 7 people that we had to say, you know, there's plenty of other opportunities to do good during this time of year, or to support another program. And with our sponsors, our corporate sponsors, we were able to raise just over $2,200. And that money we use to purchase gift cards, so grocery cards for low income seniors. So we do have a spot in the referral form to say, does this person need a little bit of extra support over the holidays? And if that is checked off, we provide them with a grocery card. So it was a $50 grocery card. And we went with Foodland because Foodland is across all of the areas that we serve. And yeah, it's just another way to show the senior that they are important to their community. And yeah, so I think that's the last slide. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, thanks. Helen, any questions from council?
I have none.
Councillor Rankin?
Thank you. I have no questions. I do have a comment that it is a wonderful program and it certainly serves a lot of citizens in our area and it's very well done. So thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Hearn?
I agree. I am just so impressed. I looked at that and I thought, wow, they're so much busier than I am. So I can't wait to be a senior and take part in your program.
Well, that's good. When I introduce myself to people who don't know me, I introduce myself as, yes, I've been working with older adults so long that now I'm one myself.
Yeah, a few years ago, I was at a Shoppers Drug Mart with my kids, and the cashier asked me if I wanted the seniors discount, and I was aghast at that particular moment. And my kids, of course, never let me forget that. But when I look at the offering and stuff, I think I want to be a senior.
There's a lot of things like people when they're retired. I mean, you can be as busy as you want to be, but many seniors have a very busy social calendar, and I'm looking forward to that opportunity myself.
And I just, not for you, Helen, but I do have a question for our treasurer, Jerry. This is something that was in our budget last year. I can't remember where we included that in this year's budget, and just want to make sure we did because we were planning to pass the budget tonight, so.
Through Mayor Lennox, I believe we have this covered under our community and economic development budget. I would typically defer to Brooke and Mandy at this time, but I don't know if Brooke wants to speak. But I think we have it under CNED for 2026 as well.
Okay, great. Brooke, go ahead.
Through you, Mayor Lennox, I can confirm that we have identified funds for this, and we also continue to apply for those seniors grants, which we've seen great success with the programming that's been able to be developed through those. So we will continue to work with Helen and the rest of the team to hopefully continue to offer those.
Great. Thanks for that. Any other questions or comments from council? Again, thanks for taking the time to come and share that story with us, Helen.
Okay, well, I just want to say thank you to you as well. We really appreciate the support. It means a lot. And we're just going to continue to work away at getting everybody as busy as they want to be.
Thanks, Helen.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have a presentation with regard to our asset management plan. I see on my screen there's Moya Taylor. Welcome, Moya. You're going to give us the rundown on how many dollars that we don't have that we should be spending?
Yes, absolutely. I'm just going to share my screen there now. Before I get started, though, I just wanted to say I'm actually a Newfoundlander. I live here in Newfoundland, so it was just really cool to hear that you guys are having a Newfoundland shed party up there.
Do you need us to get the location for you?
Oh, yeah, that would be great. All right, can everyone see my screen there okay?
Yep.
Perfect. So thank you all so much for having me here this evening. I'm an asset management advisor here with PSD Citywide, and I've been working with the township staff to develop their 2025 asset management plan. So I did want to say a big thank you to the township staff for all of their work as we work throughout this project. Today, I'm going to provide an update and an overview on the key highlights of the 2025 asset management plan. So I'll be briefly reviewing the regulatory context, the highlights of the asset management plans, the recommended next steps, and finally, I'll leave some time at the end there for questions. So to start off, I'll touch on the background and the regulatory context. As part of the Infrastructure for Jobs and Prosperity Act of 2015, the Ontario government introduced Regulation 58817, which was the Asset Management Planning for Municipal Infrastructure, or OREG 58817. This required Ontario municipalities to develop an asset management policy and AMPs between 2022 and 2025 with increasing complexity. As part of our current engagement, PSD Citywide developed an AMP that meets the requirements for the 2025 OREG requirements. So you can see here we have a quick overview of the OREG requirements for each of the defined AMPs. The AMP that we have developed achieves full compliance with the 2025 requirements. These focused on proposed levels of service, the impacts of growth on proposed levels of service, and the financial strategy to meet those proposed levels of service. So now I'll jump into the details and specifics of the 2025 asset management plan. For the 2025 asset management plan, we analyzed both your core and non-core assets. So your core assets includes your roads, bridges, and culverts, storm, sanitary, and the water network. And then the non-core assets would be all other capital assets, vehicles, buildings, machinery and equipment, and land improvements. So the analysis of these asset categories was limited to existing assets only, while addressing any anticipated growth and its impact on asset management. The AMP supports efficient use of funds on infrastructure programs and provides an important tool for communicating internally and externally. In regards to the current replacement cost of municipally owned assets, the current replacement cost totals $657 million. This is in 2024 dollars, and there is no inflation in these projections. And you'll see here a breakdown of the asset portfolio condition. So overall, 78% of the municipality's infrastructure portfolio is in fair or better condition, with an average condition rating of 57% or fair. And we get those conditions from both age-based and field condition data. So the chart here shows the percentage of assets that had condition assessments applied and the source of those assessments. Overall, assessed condition data was available for 51% of assets, so about half of the asset portfolio. For the remaining portfolio, we used age as an approximation of the condition. The age-based condition does typically overstate the needs and overall deficit, whereas assessed condition data builds confidence in decision-making. And the levels of service were a very important aspect of the 2025 AMP. Adequate revenue is crucial for building a sustainable asset management program. And in order to deliver affordable levels of service, a balance is required between the cost, performance, and risk of the assets. So we can see here the current level of service for each asset category. So it outlines the current state of each asset category. Understanding the current performance of these assets allows us to determine what is an acceptable level of service and what it would look like financially in order to work towards achieving those targets. So as you can see here, the township is committing approximately $12 million towards capital projects per year from sustainable revenue sources. This would include your CCBF, OSIF, tax allocations, and reserves. The average annual capital requirement calculated from Citywide for both the tax and rate funded assets to continue to provide the current level of service totals approximately $24.5 million. So this is resulting in an annual deficit of roughly $12.9 million. So put differently, the assets are currently funded at 48% of their long-term capital requirements. So understanding that deficit, we looked at developing different scenarios for the proposed levels of service. So we analyzed 3 potential scenarios. The first one looked at maintaining existing funding levels. So this would assume no increase to taxes or rates for the purpose of increasing capital funding. Scenario 2 modeled achieving 100% of the targeted funding level in 20 years. So when we talk about the targeted funding level, that is the average annual capital requirement calculated out of citywide. So scenario 2 looks at a tax increase of 3.9%, a water rate increase of 0.6%, and a wastewater rate increase of 1% annually, and that will be for the next 20 years to achieve that 100% targeted funding. And then finally, scenario 3 modeled achieving 75% of the targeted funding level in 20 years. So this scenario assumes a tax increase of 2.6%, a wastewater rate increase of 0.1%, and that would be for the next 20 years. For this scenario, no water rate increase was considered, as based on citywide numbers, the water network is currently funded at about 85% of its targeted funding. So while all 3 scenarios were reviewed, the township selected scenario 2 as their preferred path forward regarding proposed levels of service for the water and wastewater rate funded assets. So that would be achieving the 100% funding in 20 years. And scenario 3 for the tax funded assets, achieving 75% funding in 20 years. And this is reflected in the financial strategy. So by selecting scenario 2 and 3, which aims to achieve specific target funding levels for each asset category, the township is setting a prudent financial goal that supports responsible stewardship of its assets. This approach reinforces Wellington North's commitment to delivering sustainable, resilient municipal services, while also maintaining fiscal responsibility to their residents. So based on the current infrastructure deficit and the selected proposed level of service scenarios, it is recommended that the tax-funded assets see an increase of 2.6% annually for 20 years. Water rates see an increase of 0.6%, and wastewater rates see an increase of 1% annually for the next 20 years. And this would be for the purpose of phasing in that proposed funding to the asset categories covered in the AMP and working towards eliminating that infrastructure deficit. It's important to note that these numbers do not factor in one-time grants or non-sustainable sources of revenue. These will continue to be an essential source of revenue for investment in capital infrastructure. Additionally, these numbers do not account for future inflation as they consider the value of assets today. So any tax or rate changes required to account for inflation would have to be considered in addition to the tax increases recommended. And asset reserves are also available for use by applicable asset categories during this 20-year phase-in period to the proposed funding. So using that along with Wellington North's past use of debt in the past, this allows the scenarios to assume that if required, available reserves and debt capacity can be used for any high priority or emergency infrastructure investments in the short to medium term. And also adjustments to taxes should also be supplemented with project prioritization and an evaluation of the desired level of service. So finally, we can look at the recommendations and next steps. It is recommended to continue to review the asset inventory in consultation with internal departments. It's also recommended that a portfolio-wide data governance strategy and a dedicated asset management committee be implemented to increase accuracy and confidence in the data. It's also recommended to develop an established cycle for updating replacement cost and condition information in citywide, as they're very important data points for the AMP. In-field condition assessments are also recommended to ensure accuracy in the data that is being presented in the AMP and becoming less reliant on that age-based condition. Finally, it's recommended to review all of the estimated useful lives defined in the tangible capital assets policy as part of a regular policy review. In regards to next steps, OREG 58817 does require that Council conduct an annual review of its asset management progress on or before July 1st. So this would include addressing the progress in implementing the AMP, identifying any factors that are impeding the ability to implement the AMP, and also identifying a strategy to address any of those factors. The AMP must also be fully updated at least once every 5 years. We must also consider continuous improvement and regular review. The AMP is a living document and it should be updated regularly to inform long-term planning. Accordingly, The yearly capital operating budget should include funding for the assessment of the township's assets that will be used to update any future iterations of the plan. So that's everything for me. Thank you all very much for your time, and I'll now welcome any questions.
Okay, thanks, Moya. Any questions or comments from council? Councilor McCabe?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor Lennox. Thanks, Moya, for this. On, I think it looks like page 12 or maybe 13, the current levels of service. That chart.
Yep. Just 1 second there. I'll share my screen again. Looks like it stopped sharing.
Yep.
This one here.
Yeah, I am just really curious with the machinery and equipment.
Yep.
That says it's very poor at 15%. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
I kind of thought we had really good equipment and
Yeah,
please.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
absolutely. So through mayor to council, essentially that is mostly because that is reliant on age-based conditions. So there's not a lot of assessed condition data for the machinery and equipment category. So basically what happens is when, say, for example, you purchase a piece of equipment, for the amortization period, it might be, say, 10 to 15 years, when in reality it lasts a lot longer than that. So that it's reporting if it's in very poor condition because of the age of the asset, and because there's not an actual assessed condition applied in the system, it's only able to pull from that, the age-based condition. So that's kind of why we emphasize how important it is to get those assessed condition data into the system, and how it really, helps you to kind of refine the overall view of your asset inventory.
Thank you.
Did you have a follow-up? Okay.
Just with land improvements, we're at 22%. Can you elaborate on that one as well, Moya? Thank you.
Yeah, so that would be the similar type situation. It's just that the land improvements are going based on their, their age-based condition as opposed to an assessed, condition. So, when your staff actually goes out and looks at these assets, they might say that they're in a lot better shape than what the estimated useful life is defining that it would be. For example, if we're looking at, say, playground equipment, we might say that it's supposed to last 15 years when in reality you're getting, say, 25 years out of it. So, that's why it would be reporting that it's in poor condition, because it's really only relying on that age-based condition.
All right. Thank you very much.
Any other questions, comments from council? Councilor Rankin?
The only question I had was on the land improvements, and it's been answered. Thank you.
And Councilor Burke, I can't see you on my screen at the moment. Did you speak up if you had any questions, please? Okay, the only question I have, Moya,
I have no questions.
Okay, thanks, Councilor Burke. The only question I have, Moya, is with the age-based assessments. As you said, there's a weakness there, and we may be overestimating our need a little bit just based on those estimates. Is there a risk in us pursuing a strategy of 100% funding under those circumstances, in that we might be pursuing more dollars than we really need to meet the needs of the assets?
Yeah, so we take that into account when we develop the proposed level of service scenarios. So while we do look at the the information that's being pulled out of Citywide, we also had internal surveys that were distributed to all the staff members to get a real understanding of where you guys thought you were performing and if there was increases required. So when we were looking at those targets and those goals, that was a discussion that we had with internal staff to ensure they were realistic goals and we weren't overstating what you should be working towards. And that's why we did choose to go forward with the 75% there, to ensure that we were looking at an improvement, but to also kind of account for the fact that Citywide might be calculating that you might need a little bit more than what is the realistic picture there.
Right. Okay. Thank you. And then, of course, the biggest category we have is the roads network. And I mean, we're a rural community with numerous roads that don't get a lot of traffic. And I'm just wondering how that's factored into the useful life calculation, and whether we're overestimating the need there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me just pull up the number. So as you can see, the the road network specifically, we actually do have 100% assessed condition data for that. So we're not relying so much on the age base or the estimated useful life. And that information is coming right out of your road need study. So the condition of those roads is being accounted for on an assessed condition basis as opposed to relying just on the estimated useful life.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions from council? Okay. Thanks, Moya. I think we do have a recommendation here to address this, unless you have anything you want to add, Jerry, to this before we deal with the recommendation.
Mayor Lennox, nothing to add at this time.
Okay. So we have a recommendation here that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive report TR 2025-14, being a report on the Township of Wellington North 2025 Asset Management Plan, and that Council approves the Township of Wellington North 2025 Asset Management Plan as presented. If you're going to moved by Councillor McCabe, seconded by Councillor Rankin. Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? That's carried. All right. Thanks very much, Moya.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item is to deal with the adoption of the minutes of the council and public meeting. And the recommendation is that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on December 1st, 2025 be adopted as circulated. Moved by Councillor Hearn, seconded by Councillor Rankin. Any questions or comments on those minutes? All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. I don't think we have any business arising from previous meetings, so we're on to items for consideration. And we have pulled out for a separate discussion item 1B, 2A, 2B, 4A, 5A, 5B, and 5D. So I have a recommendation that deals with everything else. And that reads that all items listed under items for consideration on the December 15th, 2025 council agenda, with the exception of those items identified for separate discussion, be approved and the recommendations therein be adopted. If I can move in a seconder, please. Councillor Rankin and Councillor Hearn, thank you. All those in favor? Jerry, just
Sorry.
go ahead,
one
Councillor
second.
McCabe.
I just noticed that my email on Thursday didn't go through.
Okay,
And I just resent it about 20 minutes ago.
okay. Is there an item that wasn't identified?
Yeah, I believe 3A.
Okay,
And
That's
I'm
the-
not sure if that's with Maple Ridge Estates.
okay.
And I think you said 5A
5A has been pulled, yes.
and then 5D.
5D has been pulled. as
Okay,
well.
all right, thank you. So it's just
So we'll
3A.
add the 3A to the list here. So I'll just go through that again. The items pulled for separate discussion are 1B, 2A, 2B, 3A, 4A, 5A, 5B, and 5D.
Thank you.
I think I got a mover and a seconder for the everything else. All those in favor? That's carried. Thanks. So we'll move to 2B first. This is the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority minutes. We have a recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive the minutes of the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority Board of Directors meetings held on September 18th, 2025 and October 16th, 2025. Moved by Councillor Hearn, seconded by Councillor Burke. Any discussion on this one? Councillor Rankin?
They're mentioning an active committee. I was just wondering how necessary it would be to have the active committee. Would they be using members from the internal organization, or would they be taking
Okay.
from outside?
Karen?
Councillor Rankin's microphone is not on.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I was just wondering about they mentioned an active committee on page 229. They are unable to escalate warnings beyond the level without an active committee despite worsening conditions in the watershed. So I'm just wondering if there are plans to create an active committee, how necessary it is, and would they be requesting participants from inside the organization or without?
Are you able to handle that one, Councillor McCabe?
I think I could stick handle this. Yes, it'll all be within.
Sorry, is it going to be a necessary committee to have?
For the time being, yes. But as you know, there's CAs are up in the air right now. So that will come, nothing will change until at least January 27th or 2027, sorry, with this. So yeah, until then, it's going to be all in-house.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on this one? All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Move on to 2A. This is the check register report. We have a recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive the vendor check register report dated December 8th, 2025. Moved by Councillor McCabe, seconded by Councillor Burke. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Move on to 2B. This is the development agreement surety bond policy. And the recommendation is that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive report TR 2025-15, being a report on the Township of Wellington North Development Agreement surety bond policy. And that Council approves the development agreement surety bond policy attached as Appendix A, which sets out the conditions under which the township will accept surety bonds as security for development agreements in accordance with OREG 461/24. And further, the council authorized staff to update the township standard development and subdivision agreement templates to permit the use of surety bonds in accordance with Appendix A. And further, the council delegate authority to the CAO and Director of Finance/Treasurer to execute standard form amending agreements required solely to implement the policy and incorporate the approved bond form into existing development agreements. Okay, get a move by Councillor McCabe, seconded by Councillor Rankin. Any discussion on that one? Councillor Rankin? Okay. Okay. Councillor McCabe?
Thank you. And through you, Mayor Lennox, with OREG 461/24, and I'm just taking this right off of the report, says now prescribes a bond form with features intended to function similarly to an on-demand letter of credit, including guaranteed payment to the municipality upon default. So in my mind, I have to question, so how does this work if a developer is in default, and how does the township get or receive a guaranteed payment?
Okay. Jerry, are you able to handle that one?
I would answer it. Through you, Mayor Lennox. Previously, the surety bonds acted like a typical insurance product where a claim has to be filed by the municipality, and it's up to really the insurer to go through an underwriting process and assess if the bond or if the claim or dispute will be approved. But the way OREC 461 stipulates that the agreements and the templates we give out to the developers should work is really akin to what a letter of credit looks like from the bank, but now we're really dealing with insurance companies as against the bank. The township can determine fault, and based on that, make a written demand for payment from the surety company, and the surety companies have 15 days to pay the township the money for that's being demanded upon. But I would just add some caveats here. It's a new regulation. We don't have a lot of successful examples to kind of draw on to see how it's working out there. But with the way the language is written in the regulation, we don't really have a choice than to prescribe it to developers and then have our templates and policies with all the safeguards in there as prescribed to ensure that we're able to collect on those funds.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Jerry.
Any other questions or comments from council? I just have one, Jerry. This is, as this is now prescribed by provincial policy and regulation, of course, we have to comply with it. But I'd just like to understand from your perspective how this relates to, so in an ideal world, we accept these surety bonds or other forms of guaranteed, like a letter of credit. Ideally, we never want to use these things. We just need to have them there to make sure that the public interest is looked after in the event of something happening through a development process. But would this, how does this new system compare in terms of the ability of us to access those funds and the costs associated with accessing them should we need to access them?
Through Mayor Lennox, similar to what we'll do for a letter of credit, if the developer was at default, we would write a letter to the insuring company, which would be the bank, for a letter of credit, in this case, insurance companies demanding for funds back, and go through the process of collection in that case. But it's pretty much a very similar route that we currently have process-wise. It's just one more security tool where previously we'll demand for a letter of credit or cash. We now have three that we'll most likely have to collect on or accept: letter of credit, cash, or a surety bond.
Okay. So there's nothing that's really going to cost us more should we need to address something in default.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We'll move on to 3A. It's in regard to Maple Ridge Estates preliminary acceptance and security reduction. That's kind of timely here, isn't it? We have a recommendation here that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive report INF 2025-24, being report on Maple Ridge Estates subdivision stage 4 preliminary acceptance and security reduction, and the council receives the correspondence from Dustin Lytle Triton Engineering Services Limited dated December 9th, 2025 regarding Maple Ridge Estates subdivision, Arthur, preliminary acceptance stage 4 municipal services, and further that preliminary acceptance be granted for stage 4 municipal services works for Forest View Estates subdivision with the guarantee and maintenance period commencing on November 27th, 2024. And further, the council, as per section 9.3 of the subdivision agreement between the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North and Maple Ridge Estates, Inc. for its Maple Ridge Estates subdivision in the community of Kenilworth, draft plan 23T-87018, grant a reduction in securities to the retained amount of $30,000. Could I get a mover and a seconder for that? Councillor McCabe and Councillor Rankin, thank you. Questions, comments? Councillor McCabe?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor Lennox, and I apologize that this didn't go through. It's not a hard question, so hopefully not sideswiping anyone. Just in the report with Burnett's ask, it says, now that the subdivision right-of-ways have been constructed to finished asphalt, we are respectfully requesting the township consider assuming winter maintenance of Paula and Parker Drive. The subdivision is approximately 80% fully occupied, and winter maintenance is completed by the township. May be considered more appropriate for these homeowners. So there's a two-parter. I'm pretty sure we signed a contract with Maple Ridge to maintain those Paula Crescent and Parker Drive already for this year. And then I guess my next question would be, when would we assume these roads altogether?
Tammy?
Through you, Mayor Lennox. So this letter for request for preliminary acceptance is dated back to November of 2024. So this was an older request. At the time, the asphalt was placed in November, and then winter onset didn't allow for conditions for staff to review the placement of the asphalt. So that inspection wasn't completed until this year in 2025. And then we're just working through the process now that everything is aligned. And you are correct that Maple Ridge Estates did enter into a winter maintenance agreement with the township for this winter. And then the earliest date for a final assumption of the subdivision would be November of 2026. There's a 2-year maintenance period.
Okay, thank you very much, Tammy.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We'll move on to 4A. This is in regard to the full cost recovery. And there's a lengthy recommendation here with a table, and I'm not going to try to read the table, but I'll read the text that goes with the recommendation. And that is that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive report CLK 2025-18 being a report on full cost recovery for the cemetery, and that council approve the 2026 fees and charges for the cemeteries, which is Schedule C, which is as follows, which is the table, which I assume you have in front of you, which I won't try to read. Could I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Rankin and Councillor Hearn, thank you. Questions, comments? Councillor Rankin?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Lennox. I just had one. It said that the burial expense for a child 12 years and under, it's approved for 2026 for 300 and proposed for 1,000. So as they were talking about a 3-year phase in, I'm just wondering if that would be at full recovery because it's quite a jump in fee. I'm just wondering if that would be at a full recovery already for that, or is it still going to be phased in and will be higher?
Karen, go ahead.
So the 300 had been the phased in amount, but when we contracted last year, the $1,000 is what they actually charge us. So if we don't approve that, and God forbid we ever had, a young person that needed to be buried, that is what our contractor is actually going to charge us.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor Burke?
Yes, so my first comment would be why there's such a fluctuation. I asked this question the last time and I didn't really get an answer. The rates fluctuate from a $5 increase to a $700 increase. And I'm just wondering why there isn't a more consistent rate increase as we would see with other fee schedules.
Right. So you mean like in the sorry, I gotta find that. So in the phased in approach that was in the report that's attached as the attachment to that report, you'll see that we tried to achieve cost recovery on various items. So over the 3-year period. So sometimes we were closer to cost recovery on some items than others. So we could increase it at a lesser amount. So, you might see a $5 increase a year on, let's say, scattering, right? Because we were pretty close to that anyway. But a single grave purchase was increased at a more aggressive rate because we really weren't close to cost recovery.
Thank you. I am still not in support of the increases at the rate that they're going. Based on some of the information that I found from some of the other private cemeteries, I just feel that.
Sorry, Councillor Burke, you're cutting out.
Oh, sorry. Is that better?
Yes.
Can't hear you.
Okay.
Is that just me?
No.
No, you were actually frozen, Karen. I couldn't, you were frozen on my screen. So there must have been a blip.
Can you hear her now, Karen?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can't hear any of you. Just a minute. Okay, try that again.
Hello?
Can you hear us now, Karen?
Let me put the captions on, sorry.
Can you hear us
Okay,
now,
can
Karen?
you? I can't, but I've got the captions on.
Okay.
Okay. So, I appreciate the report, but I'm still not in favor of increasing the rates for the Mount Forest Cemetery as proposed. I think it's much too aggressive. I know that there's been discussion about cost recovery, and I would support that at a much slower pace. This is a service that we have provided for generations in Mount Forest, and I do understand that not everybody will use this facility, but there's lots of facilities within our community that folks pay for that they would never use, such as recreation facilities. Everybody pays for schools, and it takes a community to provide these services. I just think that, again, as I say, it's too aggressive. And I guess what is the plan if we have costs and we don't have folks that are using the services based on the increases?
So, so just to be clear, Councillor Burke, what you're asking is if the usage of the cemetery were to drop off and so our revenue drops off with it,
Mm-hmm.
is our cost going to go away at the same rate, or are we going to have fixed costs that are sticking that then become a potential issue?
Correct.
Okay.
You tell me what's happened here. I can't hear them.
Sorry, Karen.
No, I'm just asking my son to look at it. So it just stopped. Like I've done that. And that's working.
They can hear you.
I know they can hear me.
Karen, can you just
Hello?
turn off and come back on?
No. Okay, but I can respond if I think I hear this correctly. Sherry isn't in favor. Councillor Burke is not in favor of the increases. And because you've checked out private cemeteries, so just to compare apples to apples, private cemeteries are quite often operated with volunteers, so their expenses are much less. And other than those three amended items, the fees and charges were approved, like the phased in ones for 2026 were approved in report clerk 2024-006. Again, with those three amendments, the child burial and I'm trying to find it here. The child burial and the other couple ones that are there, just a minute. So the inurement in a niche and the scattering garden. So those had all been, everything had been approved in 2024 to get to phase increases into 2026. And the full cost recovery that's in this report, we're not asking to support that. The mayor, the direction we received was just to bring a report back to show what our true cost recoveries are. Am I answering that? Do I understand that? Because I can't hear anybody.
Sherry, did you want to follow up further?
Yeah, I do actually. So the mayor said it better than I did. So when when we get to a point where we are not receiving as much revenue based on the cost recovery, we're still going to have a certain amount of maintenance fees to cover the maintenance of the cemetery. Do we have a plan in place, or have we thought about um, how we're going to do that, I guess? Because I just feel that this is outrageous.
Were you able to get that, Karen?
Yeah, I'm watching what Jerry said, that we're wondering about if there's a plan in place for maintenance if revenues dropped.
Yes.
Oh, if you're asking me, I don't have a plan. This would be my plan.
Jerry, do you want to tackle this one?
I'll give it a shot. Through you, Mayor Lennox. The staff that we have doing maintenance at the cemetery right now are employees of the township, who attribute their costs to the cemetery for the time they spend there, for routine maintenance. If for whatever reason we have to reduce the level of maintenance that goes through the cemetery, those employees still have a number of services across the township that they need to be providing. But that being said, the rate parts that Karen that has in front of us today, it's not a full cost recovery. It's a part that gets us to what council directed us in 2024. A full cost recovery will be a much steeper climb than this. But this keeps us at that level that was agreed by council in 2024 as a sustainable level of to operate the cemetery. And part of the report that we also have in front of you today also does a comparison with other municipalities, and it shows where our prices fare in those spectrums and what other municipalities are looking at in terms of cost recovery. One of the municipalities there, as an example, Township of Wellington, are at full cost recovery while we're not, and some others like Mapleton are not. So it's a decision really for council to decide how they want us to go forward. If we want to stick with the 2024 rate path, or if they want a suggestion of what they would like to see us do with the rates going forward.
Okay. Karen? Go ahead, Karen.
And just a reminder, if we're going to reduce maintenance costs, there will be less grass cutting. There'll be less tree canopy maintenance. There'll be less of everything. And we have a beautiful cemetery that is well maintained, even compared to the one that the town I live in. But if that's council's direction, we need to look at what's going to happen if that's what the direction is.
So I think Councillor Burke, to answer the question from what I think you're asking, is we don't know exactly what's going to happen in terms of sales of units. So if there is a significant change, we would have to revisit it at that time. We don't have any way of predicting what's going to happen to sales based on the price increase. Did you have anything further, Sherry? Karen, did you have something further?
Yeah, just a reminder that the rates being proposed, again, other than those three, the child burial and the scattering garden, those have been out in the public since 2024.
Okay. Councillor Rankin, did you have a question? No? Okay. Any other questions, comments from council? I just wanted to make the comment too that since I've been on council, I know that we've increased our level of service with regard to the cemetery in terms of doing more tree maintenance, more lawn maintenance, better care for the facility, and dealing with some of the capital improvements with things like the fence and the gateway and so on that probably were neglected in the past and under collected for. And so whenever you have to play catch up like this, there's a painful financial reality that comes with it. So I think this is a balanced approach to moving forward, and I'm very supportive. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. On to 5A. This is correspondence from Matthew and Laura Aston. Recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive the correspondence dated November 17th, 2025 regarding 2026 Township Budget public consultation. Could I get a mover and a seconder? Councillor McCabe and Councillor Hearn, thank you. Questions, comments? Councillor McCabe?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor Lennox. I know I've brought this subject up a couple of times in the past, but it's no surprise in the economy that we have been in for the last 10 years that food bank has gone way up. The Arthur Food Bank is in a municipal building, which is great for a number of reasons, but mostly due to the fact that they don't pay any rent and monies donated go directly for food to service those who need the food bank. I would like the same for the Mount Forest Pantry. I believe they pay at last check $1,100 a month for rent, which would obviously be way better spent on food. I'm just wondering when or how we can get them into a municipal building so that they can use their money where it should be spent, providing food for those that need it in our community.
Okay. Brooke, go ahead.
Through you, Mayor Lennox. So to Councillor McCabe's point, this has been raised during some of the community consultation related to some of our older facilities, including the Mount Forest Community Center. So it is on staff's radar. We haven't received any communication from the food bank leadership themselves, and we'd be happy to sit down. That said, they did apply through the community grants program, and we're given a community grant from council, recognizing, there is a difference in terms of the value of that grant compared to a rent-free facility to run their operations. So I think it's something that is on our radar. We can continue to have conversations and look at some opportunities. And then we are going to be doing our facilities master plan this year. And that's a great opportunity, again, to identify space that might be suitable for various community organizations and what the, I guess, compensation for that would be, and then council would have to make a decision in terms of are we willing to go that route. So I think as staff we can take this away and make sure that option is considered during our various studies and bring something back for council to consider.
Okay, thank you very much, Brooke. And yeah, I'm happy to get you in touch with Mrs. Nelson, who looks after it if need be, if you need her contact.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councillor Burke.
Yes, so thank you, Brooke. And Councillor McCabe, I echo your comments as well as I pulled this, and Brooke for helping bring this to staff's attention, and I look forward to the report. However, I do believe that Mrs. Nelson is no longer the contact. She retired back in the spring, so I could probably get you some contact information for that.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Rankin?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Lennox. I too am really hoping that they can find a locale for themselves that they don't have to pay rent, because I do believe that it is being more utilized now than ever before. So I'm just wondering, in the meantime, until someplace has been found, is there any possibility of the township helping out with a rental fee?
Okay. Not sure who to direct that one to, because I think that would be up to council to. We already, as Brooke alluded to, we've already given a grant towards it. But yeah, that's not full cost of their rent. If council wishes to subsidize their rent to a greater extent, that would be something that we would need to direct. And ideally, it should be something that would fall into the budget, which we haven't passed yet, but was slated to be passed tonight. So I guess it would be up to council to direct that. Any other questions, comments? Yeah, I'm certainly supportive of trying to find a location to meet the needs of the Mount Forest Pantry. Their needs are a little bit unique in that they need some privacy associated with the entry and exit. It's not like a normal public building situation that suits them, to allow their users to remain somewhat anonymous. So it's not that it's not a slam dunk to find a location that just fits the bill exactly. So yeah, I think staff have a challenge with that, but I think we need to try to work towards that. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. The next one is 5B. This is County of Wellington Committee Report dated November 13th regarding Bill 60, Fighting Delays Building Faster Act. The recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive the County of Wellington Committee Report dated November 13th, 2025 regarding Bill 60, Fighting Delays Building Faster Act 2025. Could I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Rankin and Councillor Hearn. Questions, comments? Councillor Rankin?
Through you, Mayor Lennox, I'm just curious, with this bill, I should back up. Our township, we aim to preserve our prime agricultural land. And in the if the bill that's being proposed passes and they have they're preserving space for land for food, will the province then be able to come back and say, we need that land that's already been designated for food, we need that land to expand your urban boundaries? Will that be allowed?
I'm not sure who to direct that one to. I think the short answer is yes. The province has the authority to do that. Brooke, do you have any insight into that?
Through you, Mayor Lennox, no, I would agree. The province sets the planning framework and the municipalities need to adhere to that. So we have to make our decisions within that, and really it's up to them.
Sometimes it feels like provincial policy is communicating to us that we're in the way.
I was just going to say, why bother making the policy when they can do what they want with the land anyway?
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Move on to that's 5B. We're on to 5D. This is regard to the conservation authorities and some correspondence. We have a recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive the correspondence from Grand River Conservation Authority dated December 2nd, 2025, and from Town of Goderich dated November 21st, 2025, regarding proposed changes to conservation authorities. Could I get a mover and a seconder? Councillor McCabe and Councillor Hearn. Questions, comments? Councillor McCabe.
I've got a couple. Yeah, I wanted to get these on the agenda, and hopefully we can put a motion forward to support these going forward. I went down to London with Mayor Dave Turton on Friday to the ERO conversation, and it was disappointing at best. The Minister McCarthy didn't even bother to show up. He chimed in from his car on his way back from somewhere in Peterborough. And it was Hussein, I guess, tried to do the best that he could. It doesn't look great, but there are some assurances that I didn't know that are hopefully going to stick. So our last meeting, Councillor Rankin asked about donated land to conservation authorities, and that will still remain hands-off. No one will be able to develop on those donated property. So I've got a bit of a list here, if you
Yeah, go ahead.
can indulge me. The agency board members, from what this is right from the horse's mouth, not the other end, that board members won't be appointed by the province. Donated land will not be touched, so that's hands off. Reserves that are municipally paid in towards the levy, which are mandated by the province, like just now, we have to have reserves at a township. Those are supposed to be hands off for now, and that's a quote. And the agency will not weigh in on any permit or approval or denial for now. One thing that really shocked me, Hussein, was on Hamilton Conservation Authority. Not very long, but he had one quote that stuck out to me, and it was, a watershed area can be written 1,000 different ways. And that scared me, because you can't. Water flows one way and that's it, and it's gravity. And for him to say that, it shocked me, and I think it shocked everyone in the room as well. So what I do find ironic is that the Conservation Authority Act was put in place in 1946 by a progressive conservative government under George A. Drew. And it's kind of a bit mind-boggling that I wouldn't say it's getting dismantled, but it's, I don't know how else to put it, I guess, by our current progressive government. So there are things that are in there that are actually good, trying to reduce some duplication. But I asked a question while we were at the meeting. We already have Conservation Ontario in place. What is this new agency going to do? And there wasn't a great answer. So it's not great, but there are some things that hopefully stick, and those are the ones that I just pointed out. So
just to clarify something you said, Councilor McCabe, you said something to the effect that permits are not to be touched, or can you just remind me what you said and you meant by that? Because
yeah, for sure.
It's a little bit confusing to me, because I thought part of the purpose of what the province was trying to do is to make the permitting process easier for developers.
Well, it's a good question. And this is again right from his mouth, that the agency will not weigh in on any permit, approval or denial. So just like our council, if we approve a zoning amendment or anything like that, at the Conservation Authority, and Councillor Hearn knows this as well, if it goes to the board to permit a change or anything that involves the Conservation Authority, it's usually up to the board. And apparently that's where it's going to stay right now. This agency, so say we approve, like say Saugeen Valley approved a permit or denied it, that agency, which is supposed to be not appointed by the province, but by the lieutenant governor, which is kind of by the province as well. So there's a bit of double speak there as well. This agency will not be able to weigh in or reverse a decision by any conservation authority board.
Okay.
For now.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Yes. Councillor Rankin?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Lennox. I was just wondering, when we were applying for grants and we found that by applying with municipalities applying together, it became a stronger request than when each municipality applied themselves. I'm just wondering if that's possible to do that with the different conservation boards, if we can push back a little on the items that you want, specifically not having any say, if it would be stronger with one voice from different municipalities put together rather than separately.
And I don't know where to go with that question. McCabe, you want to try it?
Sure, through you, Mayor, Lennox. From what I have heard, the meetings last week about the EROs weren't great. There is a lot of pushback already from the whole province or from people that were at each meeting. I don't think it went really well for the province or the minister, which is maybe why he didn't show up on Friday in London. But yeah, there is I would say a groundswell of pushback and opposition to everything that's being proposed right now. Hussein did say that nothing's going to be in place till January 27th. But I don't know. I know the commenting time period is from or until the 22nd of December, and I'm not sure if they're going to listen or not. It's already received second reading, so I'm not really overly optimistic about it. But there is a huge pushback against this across the province, with many conservation authorities kind of banding together as you suggested. So
I was just wondering if they don't want us to have any input, but they want us to pay. So what if the conservation authorities decide not to pay? No say, no pay. Would that be a step that the province would look at?
do you want me to?
Yeah, you go ahead, Councilor McCabe.
Okay.
I mean, that's total speculation on my part, but I mean, from my perspective, we're a creature of the province. Conservation authorities are a creature of the province. I don't know that that's an option that's really open to us, but
I was just going to pretty much say exactly what you just said, Mayor Lennox. He was asked directly where the funding is coming from, and it was, we'll see. So then the next question was asked. So in Huron Superior, which is where Saugeen Valley would fall under,
I'm okay.
there's 88 municipalities. And then how do you have a local voice? You don't. There was talk about reserves, there was talk about vehicles, assets, buildings. And they don't know. There's no answer given for that kind of stuff yet. So we have about a year for them to figure it out and tell us. But as for funding, I would imagine it's I guess as it goes right now, until otherwise told.
Councilor Hearn?
Yeah, I was going to say exactly the same thing. It just feels like there's a lot that they haven't figured out with regards to this. An awful, awful lot. And you did mention, Councillor McCabe, that there's a lot of opposition to this, but there are also some CAs that are actually for this. And I mean, that's not us. Ours are not for this for a variety of reasons. They do agree with some modernization of a few different things, but that they're too large. But some of the smaller ones are for this. Like GRCA is the largest one in the province, biggest budget, biggest everything. I think it would be important to listen to the GRCA. We are in a strange spot here where in Mount Forest, we're going to be in two different areas going all the way from Windsor to Thunder Bay. That's absolutely insane. I think the most important thing, I know GRCA sent a recommended resolution and Saugeen has comments as well, that the township does comment on this. So I want to make sure that that happens.
I think, sorry if I may,
ahead.
I think and for unknown reasons to me, I think Hussein was somewhat surprised that some townships had more than one conservation authority. which again was a bit shocking to me. I sat on a table with 7 other people, mostly from Southern Ontario, and they would have 1 conservation authority. We have 3, obviously, and that surprised the heck out of a lot of people. And I don't think, again, they don't. I'll watch my words. I don't think they've thought this through all the way yet, and they don't have a lot of answers for what they've already said. That's probably the best way I could put.
Well, we are a headwaters community, which is a little bit unusual.
Mhm.
Certainly across the Wellington County, we are the only municipality that has 3 conservation authorities affecting us. Some have 2.
This is a total aside, but I mean, through my work, you know, I cover Dufferin County, and they are going to have 4 of these large areas. 4.
If I can ask you, Councillor McCabe, to put one of your other hats on, what's Roma and Amo's position on this?
So we have a meeting this Thursday evening, and then all day on Friday. So I will know more then. There's I know I said it was ironic about the act getting put in place by a progressive conservative government in 1946. But where Doug Ford has his cottage, there's no CA. There's no conservation authority where he has. And there's some people that are on the Roma board that are on the various conservation authorities as well. So it's going to be brought up in new business on Friday.
Okay. So I know that we've got some comments here that we can support tonight. And I think staff has been working on some comments that we could submit on behalf of the township. Is that something we should, you think we should wait on, Councillor McCabe, of see what Roma and Amo are?
I think time is of the essence. So I think the sooner we get our comments in, I would say the better. I will know more on Friday, and I'm obviously happy to get that back to council and obviously to you, Brooke, as well. I don't think it'll be far off of what we've seen or what our comments are already.
And I suppose if we needed to submit a supplemental comment, we could as well.
Oh yeah, the commenting period's open till the 22nd. So
Okay.
Any other, Councillor Hearn?
Yeah, just to elaborate on that, I think our 2 CAs are the most important comments that are there. And something that I did mention to Brooke is that I think it does need to be relayed in the letter, because it seems to be something that they don't hear, that conservation authorities can be good to work with and they are important. And I don't think that the provincial government doesn't hear that. So they do need to hear the positive from somebody, because they're not hearing it from I don't know who. Anyway, that should be incorporated in the letter.
Yeah, and I would comment to Councillor Hearn, having worked in a field where I saw the impact of conservation authorities, not fully across the province, but a bit across the province. Grand River Conservation Authority is probably the best in terms of having the resources, being able to respond in an appropriate way to development applications, and to be able to handle it in a timely way. And if we put them up here, that means there's some that aren't so good. And I have seen some of them, and so I understand some of the provincial push on this, but let's not throw out good things in the process of making it better, I think is what we really want to focus on.
And I would echo what you just said, Mayor Lennox. Like there are some good things in what they're proposing, and I'm all for efficiencies and making things easier for the most part. It's all rural, aside from a number of big cities and stuff like that, where other CAs are, and making things a little easier for the people that we serve in rural areas, I think is great, but it's it's pretty arbitrary.
Yeah, well, and Grand River Conservation Authority is pretty unique in that regard too, in that it's the largest budget, but it also serves the largest amount of assessment in the province. And it's not all rural.
No.
You got major urban centers like Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge, Brantford, Guelph,
And that,
Hamilton.
that's,
part of Hamilton.
yeah.
Hamilton.
And sorry to chime in, but that's one of the things that was brought out. There was 10 tables of about 7 or 8. And that was one of the biggest things that was brought out is if there's a smaller board for each zone, that it has to be equitable for urban and rural, so that both are represented equally.
Mhm.
So.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Excuse me.
All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Notice of motion. Any notice of motion this evening? Okay, we'll move on to community group meeting program report. Anybody have anything they'd like to report on this evening?
I think I told you what I was at lately. But yeah, no, again, just to repeat, I will be at Roma on Thursday and Friday, and the trade show has been area has been sold out for this year's, or sorry, 2026's meeting. If we needed delegations, that's still open, and hope to see everyone there.
Okay. Anybody have anything else they'd like to report on? Councillor Hearn?
Just difference in the meeting notices, and it seems to be a constant thing with me with the chambers, but Arthur Chamber isn't meeting Wednesday, which was or no, they've got January the 14th. Anyway, we're meeting tomorrow morning.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else have anything they'd like to report on?
I'm good, thank you.
Just trying to think, there was something I was thinking of. It's gone now. Praise. Oh, no, I was just going to comment on, I hope everybody enjoys the Christmas tree here in the chamber. As I think pictures were circulated, the kindergarten class from Kenilworth Public School came and helped decorate the tree last week. It was a fun event and a big class, I think 26 students in their kindergarten class. It was quite an undertaking to, they have those 4 and 5-year-olds come in with their winter gear, and after they'd made a trip to the post office, they send their letters to Santa. But it's good fun, and they created some of those decorations, which we'll try to return to them after Christmas. It's good to see a good enrollment at Kenilworth Public School, because certainly a few years ago, we spent some effort trying to make sure that it stayed there. It's great to have them next door. And with that, we'll move on to bylaws. We have 1, 2, 3, 5 bylaws tonight.
Sorry.
And so we have a recommendation that bylaw number 84-2025, 85, 86, 87, 88-2025 be read and passed. Could I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Rankin and Councillor Hearn, thank you. Any questions on any of those bylaws? All those in favor? That's carried, thank you. We'll move on to our cultural moment this evening, which is celebrating 10 years of 88.7 The River. Seems, can hardly believe that's 10 years.
Wellington North Cultural Roundtable presents Cultural Moment, 10 years of 88.7 The River. As 2025 marks the 10th anniversary of 88.7 The River, broadcasting from downtown Mount Forest, the station's journey reveals a story of vision, perseverance, and transformation. The seeds were planted in June 2011 when a proposal at a Township of Wellington North economic development meeting set in motion the idea of a community radio station. Over the next 2 years, dedicated work behind the scenes led to the CRTC granting a license in September 2013, officially establishing Saugeen Community Radio Incorporated. The station's identity was initially in flux. It launched as The Spark, but the community's involvement soon shaped its future. In late 2015, after a public contest, the station adopted the name The River. Broadcasting began from a temporary studio at Plume's Main Street Interiors with a team of volunteers and contributors bringing a diverse range of programming to the airwaves. The River's foundation was built on local engagement, but its true transformation began with the move to a permanent home on Main Street and the expansion of its team. Strategic hires in sales and administration, along with new programming, allowed the station to reflect the interests and needs of Mount Forest and its surrounding communities. The River became a fixture at local events, hosting festivals and fundraisers, and using its platform to amplify community initiatives. Challenges were inevitable. Technical setbacks, the loss of key personalities, and changes in leadership tested the station's resilience. Each transition, however, brought new voices and perspectives. Programming evolved to meet changing audience interests, and partnerships with local businesses and organizations grew stronger. The station's tagline shifted from your local radio to local radio at its best, a reflection of its commitment to quality and relevance. Over the years, the River's presence has become increasingly visible, emceeing the Mount Forest Fireworks Festival, being the title sponsor of the Mayor's Charity Bonspiel and Family Day Bonspiel in Mount Forest, and presenting the Chamber of Commerce's Citizen of the Year Award. Milestones have been celebrated, such as Broadway Hits and Bits reaching 300 episodes, and volunteers who are no longer with us, like the late John McGovern, have been honored for their contributions. Today, the River is more than a broadcaster, it's a catalyst for connection. 10 years on, 88.7 The River stands as a testament to the power of local voices and the enduring value of community radio.
You are listening to local radio at its best, 88.7 The River, and that was Finger 11.
Not only a radio station, but part of the culture. And yeah, congratulations on 10 years. Not sure that those of us who were here when it was first conceived had any idea what it was going to turn into, but it has certainly exceeded my expectations. We'll move on to our confirming bylaw, and that the recommendation is that bylaw number 89-2025, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North at its regular meeting held on December 15th, 2025, be read and passed. Moved by Councillor McCabe, seconded by Councillor Burke. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And let's see if we can get the meetings and notices right here. Councillor Hearn, Mount Forest Chamber of Commerce meeting tomorrow at 5 to 6 p.m. Is that right? Okay. Of course, the holiday season's coming up. Municipal office closes next Wednesday, the 24th at noon, and reopens January 5th at 8:30. And our next regular council meeting will be January 12th at 2 p.m. And we have a tentative date for the Arthur Chamber of Commerce meeting on the 14th, but I'm sure we'll get an update closer to that date. With that, we'll move to adjournment. A recommendation that the regular council meeting of December 15th, 2025 be adjourned at 8:56 p.m. Moved by Councillor Rankin, seconded by Councillor Hearn. Thank you. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We're adjourned. And also want to say thanks everybody for a wonderful year working together. And I wish you all the best of the season and all best wishes for the new year.
Thank you, and I would wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year as well. Great working with you this year again.